And yes, I know you can hear me. I don't mute myself during the intro. Oh. My wife has had this disabled person helping around the house. And I died a little bit on the inside, I think. Everything hurt. I think I tore a muscle. Not good. Yeah, and I'm having the avatar tonight, so it's gonna look funny. It's gonna look off. Well, hello, and welcome to Raider HQ After Dark. And let me fix this so that way there's just more of me. Anyway, guys, how y'all doing? How y'all doing on this wonderful Saturday? I'm happy to be here. It has been quite a week. So I have been helping my wife around the house. Like I said, I think I have broken everything in my body. That is an embellishment and an exaggeration, but I hope she's listening and feels a little bad. Hey, salty old Marine, how are you doing tonight? More nightmare fuel. Yes, more nightmare fuel. I'm watching you. Right into the questions. Let's do this. Yeah, George Michaels. Raider, if I have lumbar scoliosis, can it be linked to cervical spine conditions? Not typically. No. There typically isn't. And the reason why, and I'm just going to be honest with you, is that lumbar, you've got the thoracic spine in between the lumbar and the cervical spine. So if you don't have thoracic scoliosis, then there's no, you're jumping the shark a little bit because you're one joint away from the neck or one series of vertebrae away from the neck. So yeah, I'm almost a real boy. That's funny, Thomas. Oh gosh, guys. Okay. So I know I didn't say anything you liked, but typically no. And I'm going to be honest with you, okay? Spine secondary to spine is a rare thing. It is not an easy thing to get service connected. So thoracolumbar spine secondary to the neck is not easy to get connected, or cervical spine secondary to that, or vice versa, or however you want to do it. The spines are very challenging to get service connected secondary to one another. The only time that I've ever really heard of it being successful on a consistent basis is whenever you have arthritis, like the disease process arthritis, and you have evidence showing that either the cervical or the thoracolumbar arthritis has clearly moved to the neck. That's the only time that I've ever seen that be very successful consistently. Now, obviously, results may vary, but you might get that one examiner that's like, sure, but you can't bank on that, unfortunately. Doing fantastic after the months of listening to your videos. Your wisdom just got my 100% PNT. Well, hey, congratulations. And you can't see me clapping, but hopefully it looks like I am and not like I'm not going crazy. But yeah, so awesome sauce. I'm so happy for you. Just make sure now is the time to start reviewing for like Champ VA, making sure your dependents are updated, stuff like that. DEA for your family members. I'm very excited for you. So NSDQ, congratulations. And that's the thing that I find funny. So I'm going to take a second here and a lot of the advice that I give is very helpful to a lot of people, but for some reason, I can't get people to watch the videos. I might get 1,000 people, but that's about it. So shameless plug, if you know people that are having trouble with their VA disability, make sure that maybe don't show them the avatar because it kind of freaks people out, like salty old Marine said. But definitely share the videos with them, because if you can take something out of it, or if they can take something out of it, typically a lot of the time you can do the most good with just adjusting how you organize your evidence than, say, going and getting a private DBQ or a medical opinion. Oh, actually, sorry, I missed one. We got a call to do a blood draw for the hubby's Hodgkin's. That has been in remission for 26 years. We are truck drivers, so not immediately available to be in Wisconsin right away. What can we do so he's not disqualified? You can contact the VA and give them a temporary address. So if you know you're going to be somewhere, you can see if there's a temporary address where they can do a lab draw. If you normally go to a big ticket hospital and you have insurance, I mean, you can, as long as they send the order for the lab draw to somewhere that you're going to be, hopefully they can do that. So that's one way to get around that. Hi, Raider. I read that ibuprofen can cause tinnitus. So can I show ibuprofen 800 prescription history for my service-connected back, feet, and need a nexus letter also? So the thing with this is going to be the examiner's going to take the off-ramp to what is also likely. Noise exposure is a very legitimate way to get tinnitus. Ibuprofen, I mean, you can try it. I've never seen it successful, but that's just me. Oh, the salty old Marine says, add flames to the thumbnail. Just draw a video about that. Guys, I'm going to be honest with you. I have way too much, like, this isn't my day job. So I'm not going to be doing, I don't need to min-max that hard, I guess is what I'm kind of saying. If I put in a 2680, will my new claims help? Ask 4138 nice if Raider can consider. If denied, supplemental, add this. I mean, yeah, I mean, that's one way to go about it. I mean, asking nicely is fine. New claims can help, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I don't really understand the if denied supplemental add this. I mean, you can, but what's the goal? So, maybe I'm just misunderstanding. Robert, I have been kind of doing what I would consider hard labor all day and my head hurts. So, hey, Raider, are you enjoying your retirement? Yeah, I actually am. Like, the anxiety that I don't have is amazing. So it is genuinely wonderful. Tom, I submitted a supplemental claim for Rhinitis PACT Act and was advised it was going to be sent for an ACE exam. Should I be concerned? No, you should not be concerned. Rhinitis. Okay, so here's the thing, guys. ACE means, the term ACE exam means acceptable clinical evidence. And what it means is that the examiners have the ability for specific conditions to review the evidence. And if they don't need to see you, they can make that determination. However, a lot of the time, the examiners will determine that they need to talk to you. So they do an examination, okay? So the in-person exams are pretty typical. If not, then they don't need to do it. And you have to understand, rhinitis has to do with obstruction of your nasal passages or polyps of your nose. So if you have one or the other of those, if you had polyps of the nose, like little skin tags in your nose, then they wouldn't need to see you. If that evidence is factually in your record, then you can just get granted the 30% for the rhinitis. I'm currently TDIU PNT. My PTSD is 50%. Would it be foolish to try to increase the rating to where it should be, or best to leave it alone? I mean, the only value added to claiming it would be the fact that you could work. If you legitimately can't work, then there's no value added to claiming PTSD for an increase, to be quite honest with you. So you need to make sure that when you do claims, when you are either 100% naturally or 100% artificially, you need to make sure that you're claiming increases that are strategic. Are you getting SMC for it? Is there an earlier effective date for it? Is there some kind of value added? And in this case, if you can't work, there's no value added. What is the name of the arthritis that can go from one, like, no, osteoarthritis? Okay. So there's forms of post-traumatic arthritis, and osteoarthritis is a form of post-traumatic arthritis, and those two, post-traumatic arthritis and osteoarthritis, those are joint specific. They will never spread. They're due to an injury to the joint. Rheumatoid arthritis, degenerative arthritis at some points in time are types like rheumatoid, and what's the other one? It's psoriatic arthritis is another one that can, I think, move. Can a link cervical nerve secondary to AC, acromion clavicular joint separation 3 degrees / type 3? Can you link a cranial nerve to that? That's going to be up to your doctor. So basically what they're talking about is they're talking about, I'm trying to point to it. No, it won't let me. So you're right here on the tip, right here where my finger is pointing down. There's the point where your collarbone attaches to your scapula. That's the acromion clavicular joint. And basically what they're trying to say is that if that thing separates to where the bone kind of moves out of its normal alignment, can that cause a nerve? Can you secondary a nerve condition to it? You can potentially service connect a peripheral nerve to that kind of injury, but you cannot service connect a cranial nerve. So I don't know if that hits right. Chevy Bowtie says your peptic ulcer video was, and they're leaving me hanging. I'm hoping it's good. I'm hoping it's good. I hope the peptic ulcer one was good, because I do not understand, like, legitimately, I don't understand why, like, a lot of people have had peptic ulcers in their life, and a lot of them don't claim it, even though it has a pretty significant, well, I would say a higher likelihood of success than most things. Would claiming anxiety and depression instead of MDD, which is indicated on my independent DBQ or independent medical opinion, give any reason for the DBQ or independent medical opinion to be burned? That can be, yes. Actually, that has to do with authenticity, credibility, and sufficiency. Anytime that you're service connected for something and you're doing an increase and the examiner, be it private or VA, changes the diagnosis, there has to be a rationale as to why the new diagnosis is more medically appropriate than the old diagnosis. So if they don't do that, the DBQ would be found insufficient and it would be burned. So I'm sorry that happened. H-Town Vet is here. Man, go watch H-Town Vet stuff. I need to go over there and do a live stream with him. Is having a Cabbage coronary artery bypass graft, it's basically where they cut you open on your chest and there is a scar. Like Cabbages are related to heart conditions, but they're the Cabbage scar is one of the only scars that we can rate without sending it to an examination, because it is so likely to be disfiguring in nature. So, sorry, I just took that off on an aside. Is having a Cabbage 7017 considered corrective surgery for 7005? It's not corrective surgery. When 7017 is automatically reevaluated in 3 months, will that call the ischemic heart disease into question. No, it will not actually call it into question. What happens with this situation is you have it to where the Cabbage and the ischemic heart disease are rated together. But for the first 3 months, the Cabbage is the primary condition. And then what happens is that the ischemic heart disease takes over as the primary condition. So no, they don't typically review them again. You're pretty well there. I mean, if you do get an examination, it's going to be a METS evaluation. What are your thoughts on including DBQs with decision letters rather than having to FOIA them? I mean, I would love that idea. I think the more information that we, the veteran community, get, the better. So I have no problem with that. I wish they would do more. I mean, if I could, grab Doug Collins by the ear, I've got about 1,000 things I would recommend. I've got a video I'm putting out tomorrow. I had my, what do you call it? My meds by mail. I had that for I received my first meds by mail package within the last couple days. And I'll be honest with you, I had to make a video about it because it was both awesome and terrifying at the exact same time. So that's coming out tomorrow. Craig Cowart, bro, come clean and show yourself. Well, I am. Can't you see me? Why do I need to show myself? Why? Your peptic ulcer video was fire. Lots of great information. Okay, thank you. Raider HQ, it's the algorithm, brother. Once you start doing live streams, it will promote those Vice. Twice the same way that. Okay, all right, I'm tracking. I like the avatar. It feels less empty, and it does. And I mean, most of the time, the reason why I don't do the avatar on the actual instructional videos or educational videos is because it distracts. You were doing awesome work. Thank you. And then we got okay, I saw that earlier. The thumbs. I need to watch your video on that, the salty old marine. No, actually, okay, so if you want the honest to God truth, whenever you'll know whenever I do the accredited route, the accredited claims agent route, there will be a live stream for that. And when the live stream happens, what's going to happen is that's going to be one of the motivating factors. If you want to see me, if you utilize the service, the accredited claims agent service to file your claims, when we do a one-on-one, it'll be via video, and I'll actually show you my face and tell you what my name is and stuff like that, because you have every right to know that under the accredited criteria. So that's something to look forward to. And if you want to see my ugly mug, you're more than welcome to go with the accredited claims agent, because I just don't like doing it. This is going to sound stupid, but my anxiety disorder will not let me do videos where I can see myself, because you can't take that back. I like to talk, so talking's not bad, but it's weird. The VA failed to use my intent to file date as my effective date for my sleep apnea. I just got rated at 100% with a migraine claim. If I leave it alone, I lose about a year's worth of back pay. Okay. What claim form did you use? If you used a 5260Z, if this was a newer increase claim, fair enough. I would fight the hell out of it. If this is a claim that you used a supplemental on, and your original, you were not diagnosed before or during that first claim, then the effective date is true. So I'll be interested to know that. Any update on the accreditation? Well, I had my fingerprints on Monday. They said that they're going to reinstate my credentials. So it's probably going to be pretty quick. But once, I guess I'll say here in the next 3 weeks or so, the company will start forming because it's going to be an accredited company type thing under an accredited agent. You'll be able to look up our primary accredited guy and you'll be able to see him. You'll be able to do that kind of stuff. And then once we get our CAC cards or our PIV cards, then yeah, you can get your credentials reinstated, Doc. Yeah. Yeah, that's what's happened. My VBMS access, yeah, because I'm going to be using VBMS to help veterans with their claims. So I need to get my credentials reinstated for VBMS access to get and I'll have to have the PIV card, and I'll have to use the PIV card to access VBMS, as if you were, it might have been before your time, Doc, but I'll access it no differently than any other VSO would. Greetings, Raider. Any other VSO notice the code sheet is having helpful tips at the bottom? Meaning, hey, vet, you need to claim this. Vets, have your VSO look at the bottom of the code sheet. Yeah, oftentimes, okay, so the bottom of the code sheet is meant for the rater to speak directly to the authorizer. So oftentimes we defer back to development to do certain things, but sometimes that would not be appropriate. So if we need to have a VSR on the authorizer side do something, then what happens is we put it in the code sheet notes and we say, hey, VSR, could you please solicit a claim for the ischemic heart disease because we show that the veteran has Agent Orange, but or they've got TERA or something that's, it's not presumptive, but we want to have them solicit the claim. But that's a good point. 100% PNT for 2 years, rated 30% bilateral plantar fasciitis, all evidence from civilian doctor. Could VA podiatrists, if getting VA orthotics, say it's better and then reduce? No, they wouldn't. The VA's doctors don't directly talk to the VBA. I've done a video on this, that the only time that the VHA speaks and creates a claim for on your behalf is anytime that you're hospitalized at a VA facility for any kind of service-connected condition. So if you have to be hospitalized at a non-VA care center. Oh, Fam Man, thank you for the donation here. I appreciate it. It also comes with a comment. Chronic aortic arterial aneurysm is rateable, yes. Hi, Raider. How strong of a claim is urinary frequency? 7517. And I'm going to just pull that up real quick. Bladder injury. Fairly common, yes. So, okay. Sorry. I'm looking at the screen. So, okay, bladder, secondary to adjustment disorder with depressive mood, depressed anxiety. Which mental health disability offers the strongest claim? Okay, so 7517 is a horrible diagnostic code to try to claim mental health, secondary to mental health. You would want to claim, what is it? Was it neurogenic bladder? So neurogenic bladder is the one that you want to, neurogenic 7542. And it actually gets rated better than 7517. And it makes more sense because neurological bladder conditions can be caused by anxiety. Mental health cannot cause a bladder injury per se. So I would go with 7542, neurogenic bladder. But it can be a thing. You just need to support it with evidence. And thank you for the donation, by the way. I appreciate it. J Clockwork, thank you for becoming a member. If you put in for mental health as secondary, does that reopen a new exam for the conditions? Example, 40% back, 40% shoulder. So it can. If you say, hey, look, my back has gotten so much worse and my shoulder has gotten so much worse, and those have caused me to have mental health, then yeah, they're going to see them as claims for increase because you said that they got worse. If you say depression secondary to service-connected back and service-connected shoulder, that does not infer that the conditions have gotten worse, and that is drastically safer than saying, hey, look, my shoulder and back got worse. So as long as you don't qualify that the conditions have gotten worse, they're pretty safe. Okay. How often did you see depression claims secondary to tinnitus? Quite often, actually. So it has a pretty good chance. I mean, the most absurd, like if you want to talk like no BS, full on the most absurd thing I've ever seen, tinnitus as the primary and mental health at 100% secondary to tinnitus. I've actually seen that. I don't know how it's possible. I started doing the equation in my head. I've actually seen that rating before, and it was crazy. It's not a common thing. You have to prove it. I mean, you have to prove it hard, but it would be an uphill battle. I mean, like you have a 10% chance of that at best. A 45-minute diabetes claim lasted, or we'll probably say exam. A 45-minute diabetes claim lasted 3 hours. Exam. The examiner really let me go over my evidence, good or bad. It's good. I mean, it depends on what evidence you have. So it's always good. If you spent 3 hours talking about cats, then it's probably not going to be good for you. If you spent 3 hours talking about how your condition relates to service and the full extent of your condition, then it's going to be good, potentially. But it all comes down to the disposition of the examiner. So if that examiner believes it, they believe it. If not, they don't. It's hard at that point when you're in front of them to convince them if they're dead set on something. VA was trying to remove my 0% rating for hypertension due to TERA. I did a hearing, new hypertension CMP. Now I'm rated 0% for hypertension due to PTSD. This is typically what happens in hearings is we try, like, I wish they wouldn't even have proposed to sever. What they should have done before they proposed to sever it is they should have gone for every single theory for service connection beforehand and not wasted everybody's time. I wish they would have done that. That's what they're supposed to do typically. Yep. The funny arms. Yes, we got the funny arms. Tired, guys. How long does a deferred claim stay in state for? Okay, so I think I'm one of the few raters that don't understand the steps. I never reviewed for what they are. They don't equate to, they don't transfer the same. I don't know what step 4 evidence review would be. Probably 30 days. If you had my best guess on it, 30 days minimum is what the tracked item will be set for, because it's got to go back to a VSR to schedule the exam in most instances, and then the exam itself gets a 30-day tracked item. So like 30 or 40 days, unless it's like a if it's deferred for a clarification or insufficiency, it could be like 10 days, just because they're just asking for the examiner to correct something, and the examiners like to get those back quickly. All right, let's keep going. H-Town Vet. If you haven't watched H-Town Vet or the Salty Old Marine, go over and watch them. And by the way, guys, if you have any videos coming up, make sure that you promote them on here. Like if you want to just promote them, I'm happy to. Yeah, I've already told all the mods that you two can do that. Even the Green Logbook. If you got something coming up, like a live stream or something, let people know. I don't. That doesn't bother me when people do. When I approve people to do that, it does not bother me. Had my VA checkup, was telling him about my memory problems, and he scheduled me for a TBI CAT scan of my head. Hope they don't find anything. Me too, George. Me too. I had a claim denied when uploaded all evidence. It got combined into one large document. In the decision letter, my medical opinions weren't mentioned anywhere. Does that mean they didn't see it or no weight put? No, that has to do with the short form narrative. Short form narratives do not require you to, or the rater, to explain every piece of evidence that they used in their decision making. So they're not obligated to copy and paste the narrative in there. The only thing that they're obligated to do is to give you favorable findings. Now, the most important document to determine whether or not the VA actually, the examiner utilized your evidence, is the exam request. Now, this is good news, guys, in terms of when the accreditation thing goes through, I'll be able to look at your actual exam requests in VBMS to see if the evidence was put forth to you, and we can actually lobby and argue, hey, look, that's a duty to assist error right there, and get them to redo a double take on it, and then hopefully get it adjudicated the right way with the evidence accurately represented. I was told my claim, I was told my claim is in the decision phase. What is happening at that point in time? So that's the decision phase. I don't know what that phase is. The decision phase might be the authorizer, like promulgation and authorization, actually reviewing, doing the checklist, seeing if everything's dress right dress, and then the authorizer reviewing the payment stuff to make sure everything lines up, type stuff. Put some sunglasses on that avatar. No, thank you. Peptic ulcer video fire. I get it. Awesome pun. Yep. But it really is like, there's, how some people are like sleep apnea or tinnitus is the mystery claim. Like peptic ulcer is a big one too. Like there's so many veterans that I've looked at their STRs and saw they had a peptic ulcer and they could have gotten it granted. And it has, depending on what your symptoms are, right? People can be asymptomatic for it, but there are people that live with peptic ulcers every day that honestly could get them service connected relatively easily. It weirds me out. Just based upon how much we've been given ibuprofen, Aleve, and the whole 9 yards. I had an increased claim for bilateral what? Where the CMP exam DBQ had everything at moderate, which is consistent with 20%, but the rater still gave me only 10%. Is this something I can higher level review? No. Okay, I did a video on this. So neurological conditions are one of the few times in which the rater can overrule the examiner every single time based upon what the M21 says and not what the DBQ says. So even though the examiner said moderate, the way that neurological conditions are rated is that mild equals numbness and pain. Okay, for neurological conditions in the upper extremity or lower extremity, mild means numbness and pain. Moderate means loss of strength to like a 4 out of 5 strength or a 3 out of 5 strength, a loss of strength and or reflexes. So reflexes, normal is 2+. Hypoactive reflexes are 1+, and absent reflexes are 0. So in order to get a higher than the minimum 10% rating, you need to show loss of strength or loss of reflex at the time of the exam. Your nerve conduction study doesn't matter. Okay. The physical therapy doesn't matter. It matters what your presentation at the examination is. When they do the push-pull tests on you, that's what they're testing for. They're specifically testing for your strength to determine. Now, what the check marks on the DBQ, that's what matters. If they mark 5 out of 5 on all your strength and they mark your reflexes at 2+, the rater is forced, hands tied, to where they can't give you any other rating other than the minimum 10% for mild, whatever mild is at that point in time. Okay. So no, higher level review would not help you because the DRO's just going to go, let me look at the DBQ and I'll try to re-rate it up 10%. Now, if you're somebody that has the DBQ and it shows 4 out of 5 strength somewhere, then that should have been considered for the moderate category, and you can do a higher level review for that. Same thing with the reflexes. Anything below 2+, so 1+ or 0, that would be also potentially specific to the neurological condition. And please remember that the upper and lower extremities have different criteria for how they're rated for neurological conditions. But the mild, moderate, severe, moderately severe, that's consistent throughout, in that the raters can always overturn that. Pamela Watkins, thank you for the $9.99 donation. I appreciate it. Let me see here. Oof. Talking too fast. Does already 100% disabled through Social Security Department help with a VA claim? No. Nope. That has no bearing on anything. It'll probably help with the examiner. I mean, that's true. It will help with the examiner. I should take my statement back. It will not move the VSR, and it will not move the rater. You need to submit your evidence that you have, like medical exams and whatnot, through the Social Security Department. You need to submit that evidence, because the VA is not going to get that unless it's TDIU. TDIU is the only time that the raters and the VSRs solicit directly to the Social Security Administration for medical documents. So if you assume, sorry, I just saw something funny. If you assume that they're going to pull that information, you would be inaccurate. So what does it mean that the medical evidence is not sufficient to determine a baseline? What does that mean by base? Okay, so Pamela, typically baseline can mean aggravation. So if we're dealing with aggravation related to 38 CFR 3.306 for pre-existing conditions, the way that pre-existing disabilities work is you have to show a baseline. So whatever the condition was upon entry into service, so that way they can take that number and subtract it from whatever the percentage is that you currently get in your current examination. So that is what they mean typically by baseline. Another instance that I can think of for baseline has to do with hypertension for currently claimed issues, is because hypertension has a predominance of blood pressures. So whatever your baseline blood pressures are, that's a different way to assume baseline. I don't have much information here, Pamela, but I assume that we're talking about one or the other. There will be, okay, so will there be a sign? Is there a sign up for when you become an accredited agent? So my understanding from the individuals that I am currently in, I guess, partnership with, I'll be under the main accredited person, but what'll happen is we will open a website, and you will have the ability to basically start the process, schedule an appointment. So it will be first come, first serve. However, those of you on the actual live stream, so many of you watch the live stream every single time, you'll be the first ones to be notified of it, because it'll happen during the live stream. So you'll have access to the website at that point in time, and you'll be able to probably get an appointment within the first week of us happening. So that's going to be something to look forward to. And yes, you will actually be able to see Luna. She might be snoring like she is right now next to me, but you will be able to see her. If you want to see if I have real dogs, yes, I will show you my real dogs. That will happen. And yes, Doc, I already answered this, but yes, you can get your VBMS credentials reinstated if you, yeah, basically. Raider, can CPAP data that shows that I am sleeping 10+ hours per day be used for chronic fatigue, even if not rated for sleep apnea? I mean, yeah, that's evidence of evidence. Yeah. Would it be combined with my 50% mood disorder or separately rated? Typically, fatigue, if you have chronic fatigue, depending on what theory we're kind of using here, if you're a Gulf War veteran, then you can get chronic fatigue that way as a medically unexplained multi-symptom illness. You can get it separately rated. However, if you don't have Gulf War Southwest Asia service during the qualifying period and you can't get it rated under 38 CFR 3.3 or 3.317 for the MUCMEs, then it might get lumped in with the mood disorder. Isn't the VA fantastically complicated? I have blockages around my heart, superior vena cava, from radiation after removal of an angiosarcoma that VA stated is related to Agent Orange. What should I expect in a finding and a rating percent? That is going to be dependent on what DBQ they use and what they check, to be quite honest with you. So I'm thinking, sorry. Atrioventricular block, maybe under 70-15. If it's benign, first degree or second degree, type 1, they would use the general rating formula for the heart. Non-benign, which is probably, non-benign would be second degree, type 2, and third degree. You'd be rated under 70-18, potentially? Why does it say that for 1 month thereafter? I mean, it's probably going to use to be honest with you, you have a high likelihood of using the general rating scheduler for heart conditions. Moving at the speed of bureaucracy, it will be in 3 weeks or so many weeks, but using what time system and calendar? I don't know. Yeah. What happens when you get your rating decision but no rationale? 2 lines in the beginning, last 12 pages, nothing. That's a short form narrative. Typically, you're looking for favorable findings. If you have none, then they said that you had no element 1, element 2, or element 3. Sadly, that's going to be, it is what it is. That's why I hate short form narratives, to be honest with you. Raider, how is stateside only toxic exposure claim rated when not in STRs? I'm trying to talk a vet into filing. So it won't be in the STRs. It'll probably be in the ILA report. And then depending on MOS duties, if a veteran has an what the hell? Sorry, I'm going to answer this question. I'm going to get to that. The veteran has to basically know exactly what chemicals they were exposed to, and then they have to also identify what job duties they have and how they need some corroborating evidence too, like some kind of newspaper article, some kind of .gov site type thing to actually, geez, what's going on, guys? Stop. To actually support the fact that they were exposed by location or by MOS. I think I missed something down at the bottom because I'm getting a lot of stuff going on. So hold on just a second. Let's go through this again. So 355 Mile Guy, thanks for the super sticker. I already answered Fam Man. J Clock, thank you for becoming a member. I got Pamela's $9.99 donation. Thank you so much. We've got Dizzy Willow, 99 super sticker. Thank you. It matters. Pamela Watkins also became a new member. Thank you so much. TCSO4VH. There's something in there that I can't make out. But submitting a claim for IBS increase, what are my chances of not having a CMP exam? 0%. You're having a CMP exam. What's a good example of a personal statement? Okay, the thing that you have to understand is you need to go to 38 CFR Part 4 for IBS, you need to Control F and hit 7019. No, it's not that. What is it? IBS. Irritable bowel. 7319. That's what I'm trying to. It's been a rough night. So go to 7319, and the thing that you want to review here is abdominal pain related to defecation and how frequently it happens. That's all the VA cares about, and the two things. So this is your 30% rating. I'm going to pop it in the comments section. But if you do not discuss abdominal pain related to defecation and how often that happens, you won't get a higher rating. So the problem is that most people, when they go into IBS examinations, they talk about how often they have diarrhea. And that's not what the VA cares about. The VA only cares about how often and how frequently are you having abdominal pain. So related to the defecation, and that you have two or more of the following. So, this is, well, hi, Mr. Ray. How you doing? Okay, and then we got, so I hope that answered your question. What was your experience rating multiple sclerosis and symptoms, especially fatigue due to MS? There's actually a checklist guide on how to rate Parkinson's and how to rate MS. There are subject matter experts that I believe do MS. I've never rated MS before, but there's a specific checklist on how to deal with fatigue, neurological conditions, things like that. So the examiner, whenever they fill out the form, MS and Parkinson's are one of the few times where if the examiner says moderate, we have to adhere to that. So on that DBQ. George, so what are you saying? What you're saying is if you are doing a claim for TDIU, the fact that you're on SSDI and not working may be considered in your rating decision. Yeah. If you're doing a claim for TDIU, yes. So SSDI does actually count. Yeah, it is part of the review. That evidence gets given to the examiner whenever they're doing their economic impact assessment. Yes, that is a true fact. And then NENHCUE. Thanks to your education videos, I'm 100% PNT. You'll be swamped once you take claims. Question on my deferred shoulder/neck claim. It is VA opinion. I assume they're waiting on my MRI results. It was scheduled a couple days after my CMP, though, through community care. That can be true. It can also be, so there's two different situations for that. Either they're waiting on evidence that they can clearly see happened, or the VSR ordered for specific theories for service connection, and the examiner denied those theories, but the VSR didn't order all the theories, so it's being deferred back to actually address those missing theories for service connection before the rater denies the claim. So there's a couple of different things here. Number one, awesome. You didn't have to donate this, by the way, but thank you so much for donating. It blows my mind. I'm happy that the videos help. And I wish that other people would tell other people, because sometimes you don't need to pay $1,000 to somebody to guess. You can do it yourself a lot of the time. And if you have trouble doing it, you can rely on somebody that knows what they're talking about. Okay. And they're not guessing. That would be me. Sorry. I couldn't help myself. But thank you once again. And enjoy your 100%. Just, the only thing I kind of discuss when you're 100% is just make sure that you get Champ VA, you get your student loans absolved, you make sure that your dependents are up to date, because that's a lot of money at 100%, things like that. But thank you once again. I appreciate it. And then Big Rock, 100% thanks to your help uploading the NPI screenshot with my claim. I think got my private DBQ and independent medical opinions past the VSR. The rater accepted both DBQs and one of the medical opinions. Congratulations, man. And look, some people accuse me. They're like, look, man, you don't need to do everything that he's saying. He's saying a lot of crazy talk. You don't have to do all that stuff. But guys, the reason why I tell you to do all that stuff is so nobody can disagree. So you can have the circumstance, hopefully, that Big Rock had, where you make it idiot proof. You make it to where they can't poke holes in it. You show them it's not fraud for your private DBQs. And guys, on Monday, I've got a buddy statement video coming through. And once again, we're going to talk about how to strengthen those buddy statements to where element 2 can be satisfied through a buddy statement. So you can have a favorable potential outcome for that. Now, I can't guarantee anything beyond the tip of my nose, right? But I'm telling you, I'm paranoid and I try to have people overdo things so that way nobody has to be concerned about, oh, I don't know if this is enough. That's why I want you guys to go over the top to prove your stuff. Okay. So Big Rock, congratulations. I'm so happy for you. So many good stories tonight, guys. So many good stories. Was just rated for the first time yesterday, 80%, several deferred, several denied. Do I wait for the deferred to be rated before filing a higher level review or secondary? I would wait. And here's why I would wait. Okay. Is because the next rater who touches those deferred conditions, they can maybe overturn some of those denials if they disagree with them. They can readdress those because the claim's still technically all open. That next rater is responsible for all the prior rating decisions. So if somebody did something wrong or premature, like if the denial was premature, then let that rater have the opportunity before you file the higher level review and secondary claim, because it gets real sideways whenever you have a different claim open. It means that the rater has a tougher time fixing it. And if you do a higher level review, like let's say that the next rater in your currently open claim fixes the issue, but you go for a higher level review, that DRO, the decision review officer who does the higher level review, can say, oh, I disagree. And then they can still sever it. So I know it takes time and I know that sucks, but I like to wait to see how the chips finally fall. And then once I know that there's no moving parts left, then that's whenever I say, okay, what's my strategy? How do I overcome this? What was here? What wasn't here? And then, yeah, so awesome sauce, guys. Let me hide this. Every time I do that, it screws me up. Let me see here. Service-connected tinnitus to cervical. Just found out VA submitted cervical increase claim during step 7 of my Ryan-Eyes claim. Why? I didn't see the benefit worth exam risk, so I submitted withdrawal for increase. Smart. That's how you do it. We're almost at an hour, guys. I'm doing my best. Okay. China D. I was discharged 40 years ago, never filed a claim, now 61 years old, currently diagnosed with anxiety and depression. Will family buddy statements suffice as evidence to prove service connection? It depends on what the buddy statement is trying to discuss. So if the buddy statement is trying to discuss that you have a current disability, yes, that buddy statement would be successful to prove element 1. Do you have a disability? It can help with that. It can help persuade the examiner that you in fact have a disability. Now, how element 2, if you saw, like, let's say you saw combat, something along those lines, maybe in the earlier than the 70s type thing, then potentially you could, you could use it as element 2. You could use your buddy statement as element 2. If you had a trauma that happened to you that was like more PTSD-ish, that's going to get complicated. So it's going to be a little bit more challenging, China D. So it's very situational, but I'm never going to say never. So it's possible. How far back can I argue wrong effective date? Okay. Now that you made me smart, oh my gosh, I see where I should have challenged at least one effective date in 2023. It honestly depends on what we're talking about here. If we're talking about a clear and unmistakable error and you're within 1 year of your rating decision, the most recent rating decision on this topic, you can potentially do a higher level review and be a sneaky person and make the DRO raise the clear and unmistakable error. If it was a clear and unmistakable error, then the DRO can fix that. But if you go into a claim saying, hey, look, there's a wrong effective date here, that is a clear and unmistakable error, and they will close your claim saying, hey, look, you've got to claim a clear and unmistakable error, which means you've got to have all 3 prongs associated with the clear and unmistakable error be sufficient. That's why a lot of the time veterans go with attorneys to file clear and unmistakable errors, because there is a legal requirement that you have to satisfy. That's why I like having sometimes the DROs raise the clear and unmistakable errors, because you don't need to do all the fancy preparatory work. If you can clearly cite how it's wrong, hey, look, this should have been granted this way due to 38 CFR 3.400 or whatever. Or liberalizing law, I should have gotten an earlier effective date because it was granted due to TERA and I was diagnosed before 8/10/2022. That's a very common one that a lot of CUNEs get overturned for. But thank you. Hello, Her Vet's Voice. Her Vet's Voice is another newer content creator over from Twitch. No, not Twitch. TikTok. I don't like TikTok, but we're happy to have Her Vet's Voice in the Her Vet's Voice community over here on the YouTubes, because there's a great channel. A lot of information there. Two raters on that side of the fence, good raters, Natural and FF. So if you like, and it's also nice because, look, I'm a guy. Sometimes you want to hear from a different tone of voice, and Her Vet's Voice is definitely a different perspective that I support. So if you guys like that, you can also go over there and watch them. And Her Vet's Voice, if you want to promote anything in the channel, you're more than welcome to also. Like if you've got a live coming up that you want people to go to, you're more than welcome to promote that. I'm fine with you doing that. Errant Wave. If claiming anxiety and depression while submitting an independent DBQ, independent medical opinion with current diagnosis of MDD, would that cause DBQ independent? I already answered this one. It would, because what happens is any change of diagnosis must have a rationale provided why the new diagnosis is more medically relevant. And if they fail to do that, then yes, it can be burned. Okay. Oh my gosh, the comments. I thought I was towards the end, and then it just took off. How do you front load your claim with evidence without submitting too many documents? It's not that you're submitting too many documents. You got to make it concise. You have to check the boxes. You have to know what's important to grant this particular theory for service connection. Where's my element 1? Oh, it's right here. Boom. Where's my element 2? Oh, it's right here. Boom. You've got to kind of do that. Sometimes it's not how it's not how many pages you have. It's just how probative is the information that you're providing. You can have 13 different entries, but if they all prove something to the examiner, then the examiner is going to come out with a favorable medical opinion or a favorable actual, what do you call it? You know, DBQ. Now, oh, look at this. 61 likes. We can do better. Come on, let's do this. Come on. Too easy. I can't do it. Been talking too much. So should I not do a higher level review or just go straight to the supplemental? In one of your videos, did you say that I could put in both if I can't find direct? Please consider secondary to another or 2 supplemental claims. Ooh, I don't know what this is in context to. Higher level reviews are if you know that the VA messed up. They did not apply a specific rule or regulation, and you can call them on it. That's what the higher level review is for. If the evidence was there and it wasn't applied by the rater, that's a higher level review. If the evidence wasn't there, but you have it now, that's a supplemental. So, yeah, I don't think I answered the question very well, but that's my answer. Rudy, that's hilarious. That's hilarious. I like that. Let me go here. Okay, why is IBS presumptive Gulf War so confusing? All we need is currently 6 months chronic, qualifying location, and a CMP exam, yes. Some folks keep saying muck-me's and all these other crap. Why? It's a form of muck-me. So the reason why FlexMan it's confusing is because the way that it's granted is completely opposite to how every other claim is granted. For every other claim, you have to prove that military, that this specific, like for direct, you have to prove this specific knee injury that happened in service and the current knee injury are the same injury. Versus Gulf War gen meds or muck-me's, you have to prove that we don't know what's causing it. That's what makes it complex, is that it's medically unexplained. It has to be medically unexplained. So if you walk into a muck-me or a Gulf War thing saying, I think it's due to my NSAIDs, you're talking yourself out of being granted. Because if the doctor cannot medically explain why you're having headaches, migraines, whatever, then that's how you get granted under that particular theory. It's very weird, and I don't fault people for being confused by it because it behaves so much differently than other theories. Good evening, Raider. Knees secondary to ankles, degenerative disc disease secondary to knees, have an independent medical nexus. Do you think CMP is going to blame age and weight? Also, have lay statements to counter that makes a difference to... Okay. If you have a solid nexus and you are preparing your evidence to where your independent medical opinion is lock solid and your DBQs are lock solid, you shouldn't get a CMP exam. So you shouldn't have to prove anything to anybody. Hopefully it goes to the rater, and hopefully the rater can, execute it. But I don't think age is going to be what they blame it on, nor weight. They're probably just going to say that it's not medically connected to each other. They're not medically associated with each other. That's kind of what happens most of the time. So I hope I answered that question. I filed a 526EZ for sleep apnea, then got awarded on a higher level review. Should I still fight for the intent to file effective date a year earlier? Is there a risk to losing the sleep apnea rating? I mean, because you won on a higher level review, you cannot higher level review a higher level review. So that's going to be challenging. You might be able to go to a VSO and have the VSO backdoor channel into your local regional office and say, hey, look, can somebody take a look at this? This looks off. Like if you went to the VERA and say, hey, look, my intent to file wasn't applied, or, to my effective date. Does this look right? once again, in the near future, I'll be able to look at those things for you and actually tell you for factual truth whether or not it is or is not right. It's difficult. Let me scroll down here. Why is my February 2024 denial still sitting in evidence gathering? The denial was already reversed and rectified through a higher level review May of 2025 with a duty to assist area that reopens a 2011 lumbar grant. That's a good question. I don't know. It's hard for me to spitball that one. It depends. U.S. Army grant. Raider, can you explain that Cabbage for heart again? I had open heart valve replacement and double Cabbage working on trying to connect with thyroid cancer. So what I was talking about with the coronary artery bypass, often called a Cabbage by most medical professionals. I don't know why. It's just the way they do it. But that particular, how that works is it's an analogous rating. So it means when you like have two things that are combined together, typically the primary for your heart valve replacement and your Cabbage if your heart is service connected and the valve is service connected, then what would happen is you become temporarily 100% for a little while the Cabbage happens, at which point in time the Cabbage becomes the primary condition and the heart condition becomes the secondary, because the heart condition itself can't be rated yet because you're at a temporary 100%. What happens is after the time period for the Cabbage ends, they switch places to where the heart condition gets rated as the primary condition and it's heart condition status post Cabbage, or whatever it is. If it's valvular replacement, status post valvular replacement with Cabbage, then they would be combined together. The thing to consider is that scars associated with Cabbage should be service connected also. And if they're painful, that's a 10% rating. So please keep that in mind. Tired, guys. I'm tired. So if you are hospitalized at the VA, so this is key now. If you are hospitalized at the VA, that triggers a claim to be created at the VBA, not the BVA, but the VBA. Just from being hospitalized, even though you didn't put in a claim. That is correct. Now, the reason why this happens is it creates like a 320 claim, EP 320, and it's meant, they had a recent update. I did a video on this a few days ago about how there's automation that's going to be reviewing to see if you're service connected for the condition. But if it still gets put in the hands of a human being who reviews whether or not the condition that you were hospitalized for is service connected, if it's not, then they close the claim. If it is, then they try to give you temporary convalescence for the hospitalization period. So temporary 100% due to hospitalization. So that's what we're kind of talking about there. Let me scroll down here. Ow, my knee is killing me. Can I tell you guys, the meds by mail thing, the video is coming out tomorrow, but oh my gosh. The main thing about that video is, and spoiler alert, I'm a little sideways that they put $14,000 worth of medication on my porch and didn't notify me of it. Yeah. I'm still a little sideways about that. So it keeps getting in my head. That's why I had to make a video about it. But yeah, $14,000 worth of medication was put on my front porch. Didn't notify me it was there. Needed to be refrigerated. Yeah. Yeah. That kind of sets me off. Oof. It freaks me out. And then I further meds by mail. Yeah. Meds by mail, like no joke. Like I have a review tomorrow for my first encounter of meds by mail, and it's mixed. It's not bad and it's not all good. No, they did not knock on. They did not knock on the door. They don't knock on the door. They don't ring the doorbell. And I'm not embellishing here. I'm not making this up. $14,000 worth of medication was on that front door. You want to talk about waste, fraud, and abuse? How is that not a red flag for Dougie? Teach me how to Dougie. Come on, Dougie. You can't just be putting $14,000 worth of meds by mail stuff on the front porch, and that's a true story, guys. That like happened. Like, woof. Sorry, I'm looking at something. Oh, MCM, you're so nice. You were so nice. Like MCM is awesome. Thank you. But yeah, I mean, we're trying to put out quality information here, guys. We're just trying. Wait. I want to see this. Just spoke with a vet who took $25K out of his TSP and he doesn't even qualify for benefits. Why did he take $25K out of his TSP? That's very weird. Is it just to live? I assume it's just to live. That sucks. Sorry for that. If I don't do a high level review, but know the CMP examiner did fraudulent DBQ because he didn't go through do a thorough exam, I'm calling this week to report it. Would I get a new exam from that? You can. Okay, so the M21 manual, it gives the rater a lot of latitude in that situation to kind of report why it wasn't done correctly and accurately. And sometimes, yes, the rater can do a new examination if you plead your case well. So like in a 4138 and also call, that's kind of been the most successful route that I've seen personally. Oh, are we saying, hold on just a second here. Are we saying that the vet took out $25K out of his TSP to use a claim company? Is her vet's voice, is that what you're saying? Because if that's what you're saying, whoa, like, please tell me that's not the case. Please tell me, because this was what freaks me out. Like, why would he get his money back? Like, I don't understand what the criteria is here. I'm looking through the flow in chat. Was speaking about a veteran who pulled the money out to pay the oh my god, the claim shark. Oh my gosh, MCM. Thank you for clarifying that, because no, that is insanity. That is insanity. I feel so badly. Look, man, you can believe what you want. You are all adults, okay? Every single one of you is an adult. Every single one of you is. You don't have to like me, like, at all. Like, people on here, maybe they like me, maybe they don't. But nobody should be paying $25,000 of their hard-earned money to somebody that can't even tell you what's in your STRs. That bothers me a lot. Like, badly, it bothers me. Like, I'm not saying go to me or anything like that whenever the time comes, but I'm just saying, like, her vet's voice, that might be a pro bono thing. Like, if the veteran needs some help, that might be a pro bono thing in the future. I don't know. Like, I swear that kind of stuff pisses me off so much. Like, it makes me physically upset, because the reason why some veterans feel like they need to do that is because that's the position they've been put in. They haven't been able to educate themselves. Maybe it's beyond them. Maybe they don't understand it and it's just too complex for them to understand. I get that. But 25 grand, guys, could you imagine if that's your grandpa? Like, I'd go kick someone's ass. I would beat the fuck out of somebody if they took $25,000 from my relative or something like that. I can't even with that. Like, 25 grand, like, I can understand a reasonable fee, right? Like, I can understand that, like a fee to be educated about stuff. Fair enough, whatever. But holy shit, I would beat the fuck out of somebody. Like, I would go to jail. I literally would. Like, no bullshit. I mean, I'm not Billy Badass or anything like that, but $25,000 is a lot of money. Like, that's a lot of money. That's like breaking a kneecap type, driving over your fucking knees type thing. Sorry for the swearing, but that riles me up. I feel so bad for them. So yeah, her vet's voice, if need be. Yeah, keep them on your mind, and then when the time comes, let us know, and I'll see what I can do. Maybe a pro bono case. Just we'll throw whatever we can at it for free. I mean, it's yeah. I don't know if I can reconcile that. I submitted a supplemental claim on 3/18 for degenerative disc disease and IVDS secondary to scoliosis. That is not going to end well. On 3/20, the claim was moved to the evidence review step. Is that good? Will I still have to do a CMP? Okay, so unfortunately, you can only have one thoracolumbar spine condition. If scoliosis is your spine condition, then you have a spine condition already service connected. Getting degenerative disc disease and IVDS might not do much. The only thing that it can possibly do is IVDS has a separate rating criteria for incapacitating episodes of it. So that's potentially you can get them service connected, but they typically won't move the needle. If you're 20% for your spine due to scoliosis and that's it, your range of motion's fine, but you're 20% for scoliosis, degenerative disc disease won't help anything. IVDS might, though. I think I already answered this. Can you explain how frequent urination claims work? Can it be granted as secondary to medication like prazosin? I mean, technically, yes. Urinary incontinence or urinary issues can be granted secondary to medications. The only logical problem happens with, is this a chronic medication? If it's a medication that you don't have to take for the rest of your life, it can be hard to prove that it's a permanent disability. It could be a transitory condition based upon you taking the medication, but there's no guarantee you'll have to take it for the rest of your life or that you'll have a permanent disability. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, medications can cause urinary issues. Yes. GC Jarhead gifted 5 Raider HQ After Dark memberships. Thank you, GC Jarhead. You don't have to do that. Okay, let's do some Hervet's voice here. Thank you, Raider HQ. We did a live stream last night, awesome, on discharge upgrade. There are so many veterans that need that help, so I appreciate that. We will be live tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, to discuss reasonable accommodations and FMLA. Is that in conjunction, Hervet's voice, with migraines, like the economic... severe economic inadaptability, or no, 8100, with the prolonged attacks productive of severe economic inadaptability? Is that what that's for? Or TDIU or something like that? I'd be interested to know. I'm here to hear what you have to say. I don't need to see you. Keep doing what you're doing, or keep doing what you want, Raider. Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. And guys, I'm so happy so many of you I've gotten overwhelming responses back from the people that I've recommended others to. Obviously, if it's not your cup of tea, then it's not your cup of tea. But I'm so happy, like the salty old marine, probably not due to me, due to the content. Let's be honest with ourselves. It had nothing to do with me. But the salty old marine just cleared 10K subscribers. Going to be passing me any day now. Okay. With such awesome content. And I'm expecting other channels like H-Town Vet, The Green Log Book, Her Vet's Voice. I expect them all to be up there passing me shortly because they're all such good channels. I like them. That's why I recommend them. And that's why I don't mind if they promote themselves here. Lee, hello, Raider. Question. I have supplemental claim for PTSD and a new claim for OSA. Can I file them together under the same intent to file? Yes, as long as you submit both claims at the same time. So if you have a supplemental for PTSD and a new claim on a 526 for OSA, as long as they are submitted on the same day, the intent to file will apply to both of them. Okay. So that is a very good question. Thank you, Lee, for asking it, because the more people that we can share some of this foundational information with, the better, because it can help everybody out. Banished. I'm using AI to help organize my evidence, and it's convinced that I should submit as a fully developed claim. There is no downside to filing it as a fully developed claim. They would just change it to normal if needed. Okay, what's the downside? Okay, so this is something that nobody knows about. The downside to fully developed claims means if it can be rated in under 30 days because it's fully developed. So if you have additional evidence that you did not include with your claim, but you said it was fully developed, the rater can rate it, no questions asked, as soon as it touches them. If it's if you didn't meet element 1, element 2, or element 3, they can rate it right then and there. They don't have to wait. A standard claim means that when you file a standard claim, you're saying, hey, look, I have additional evidence that might trickle in. Please wait at least 30 days before you rate and adjudicate my claim. So fully developed claims, as long as you understand that logic of what they are and why they, like, what's a fully developed claim, what's the purpose of it. If your evidence matches up with a fully developed claim, like you have nothing else trickling in, then yeah, go with it. However, if you have evidence that's trickling in and you're just filing it, like let's say to satisfy an intent to file expiring or something like that, then file it as a standard claim. So that way they fully understand that there's more evidence coming. I'm going to have to skip down here a little bit, guys. So I might skip some of your questions, but I need to get lower down because it's been an hour and a half almost. So I'm going to be calling it here shortly. Get emotional alarm or okay, for meds by mail, I shouldn't have to get emotional alarm for my door. The VA should text my ass whenever they deliver $14,000 worth of meds to my house. Okay, like, God, not against you, Berries. I'm not sideways against you, but I'm just like, if I ever meet Doug Collins, it's probably going to be the first thing that escapes my mouth is going to be $14,000, Doug. Yeah, you guys left $14,000 on my front porch. So let's scroll down here. Ooh, okay. I didn't know we got more of these. Okay. Raider. So JFM 94. I know secondary aggravation is bad. What evidence is sufficient baseline for obstructive sleep apnea? My ENT, my ear, nose, and throat and sleep doctor independent medical opinion states baseline is asymptomatic, supported by VA records showing low OSA prior to onset. Okay, so what JFM asked here is a very complex statement, okay? Bear with me for a second. So what they're saying is claiming it under 38 CFR 3.310B, aggravation of an existing condition by a later diagnosed service-connected condition. So what happens is when the condition was asymptomatic before the service-connected condition comes along, it means that 0 will be subtracted from whatever the rating is, whatever the DBQ comes out with. So in this case, if they did not have a CPAP assigned before the PTSD, or well, whatever the primary condition is. I want to say PTSD, but I don't know what it is for sure. So if they didn't have a CPAP until after the after the condition, the service-connected condition was diagnosed, then they can get the full benefit of OSA secondary aggravation, 38 CFR 3.310B. I know that I've lost a lot of you. So the problem for JFM is, when did you get your CPAP assigned to you? Before the diagnosis of the service-connected condition or after the diagnosis? If the CPAP was assigned to you, prescribed before the diagnosis, then you're screwed, because what'll happen is you'll be 50% minus 50% equals 0. So I hope that answered that question. Ashton Martin, can I file for pes planus with ankles secondary after 20 years? My MEPS, a couple STRs, and MEB, Medical Evaluation Board exit with pes planus diagnosis. Current treatment at the VA. I mean, yes, you can file pes planus directly. Ankles are a separate thing, and ankles are not going... Okay, so you want to talk about pissing uphill in the wind. Ankles are not typically medically related to pes planus. I've never seen it granted secondary to pes planus. So ankles have never in my life have I ever even seen an instance of ankles secondary to pes planus. So you will need to bring the heat. Okay, you will need to bring the evidence, and you'll need to bring it hard and concise and have scientific studies. And you will need to have those scientific studies match you in your current presentation. So just be careful. JFM, yeah, if you're fine, it matters when the CPAP was assigned. Was it assigned before the diagnosis of rhinitis, or was it prescribed after the diagnosis of rhinitis? If it's after, you're good. If it's before, you're screwed. But Ashton Martin, that's the best I can answer that question. So it's going to be challenging. You have a good shot at the pes planus, and that's a 50% maximum. Okay. But what? Okay. So thank you for the donation. I appreciate it. Okay. Veterans exposed toxins. I will take it pro bono now. Now, veterans exposed toxins is an accredited attorney. So if you two want to talk offline, you can talk offline. I would probably, if that's an option for you, Her Vet's Voice, you can take that option. I've spoken to veterans exposed toxins personally. So they're another accredited attorney. You can look them up. They will give you their information. If that's something that you want to present to the veteran, I'm fine if you two collaborate on that. That's cool. I'm not the only gig in town in the future, because that will be future, and he's here now. So, I mean, I get that, right? But I'm also not going to that company and breaking their knees. So that's going to be the VA that goes after them for the 25K. But if we're talking about somebody jacked up their claim to the point that they didn't even get service connected, they should have a competent person review it, is what I'm saying. And they shouldn't have to be charged another dollar for that. So that's kind of what, to me, I was talking about. I wasn't talking about getting them their money back. That's a completely different thing, dude. And I appreciate GC Jarhead and all the mods and DMPL. So I can't say their name. Like, it's like if I say I have 3 mods. Okay. I've got MCM, I've got GC Jarhead, and then I've got DMPL. And I can't say that without saying their name, because it just, so I don't mention them as much, but they're a good mod, man. All right. Sleep apnea due to weight gain from service-connected diabetes. Denied due to, as such, a nexus is not established. So if you guys watch my video on simplistic evaluations, this would be an example of a simplistic evaluation by the examiner, because Dimple. I don't know if they'll like Dimple. Mr. Ray, do you want a wrench? I mean, I'll give you a wrench, Mr. Ray. If you want a wrench, I will give you one, sir. I'll do that tonight. Let me write that down. Mr. Ray gets a wrench. Okay. We're going to be blowing up here in the near future anyway, because once we go the accredited route, the channel's going to have a huge boost. So, Mr. Ray, if you're serious about that, I will send that tonight. Okay. So the problem with this is this was a simplistic review. So you might, depending on the circumstance, use a higher level review and actually try to challenge why the private DBQ wasn't taken at face value. Like, why wasn't it sufficient? That might be a potential for you to do that. If not, you'll have to gather new evidence to show how, like, the intermediate step has 2 specific medical opinions. The first medical opinion is, did the service-connected condition cause the weight gain? The second one is, so diabetes. Did diabetes cause weight gain? That's the first medical opinion. The second medical opinion is, did weight gain cause sleep apnea? Sorry, lost my thought there. But sorry. So the problem is that they were, even though they said sedentary, so you have a sedentary lifestyle, migraines cause you to be sedentary, they need to link it a little bit more than that. Sedentary caused weight gain. So that's like, literally, you have to make it idiot proof. You have to make it, and the veteran's responsibility for those 2 medical opinions is to show through evidence and corroborating statements what specific symptoms and conditions or circumstances caused you to gain weight, and how it could be nothing else, right? 150 broken finger claims denied. Hit the button. Gosh. Oh, how would you know if it's a short form narrative versus long? A long form narrative describes in a denial specifically, this evidence was in your favor. This evidence was not found persuasive because of X, Y, and Z. Your STRs did not show indication of of treatment in service. However, they do show that you did go to sick call, but the examiner said that sick call in service was not actually wouldn't have created a chronic disease. I mean, like, detailed explanation. That's what a long form narrative is, guys. Are you still in service? Because that's the only way you can do a BDD claim. And you should be able to do the BDD claim yourself, but there's specific requirements that you need to satisfy before you can actually meet criteria on a BDD claim. So you might want to research those. Okay. Okay, there we go. The Knowledge Nook. I love that name. That's very nice. Do you know what works for TBI headaches? Was just diagnosed last year after 30 years of headaches. I've had several epidurals. Why? Don't ask me. Okay. I mean, I don't know what like specifically works to resolve them. But I don't know if there's a question in here. I mean, thank you for the donation, obviously, but I don't personally know what works for them. I haven't found a cure for my migraines or headaches at all. So, I mean, I'm not the one to ask. I mean, there are some treatments out there that are effective. I mean, the triptines for me, like the sumatriptine and whatnot, it somewhat works. It takes away a lot of the pain and discomfort, but it makes me just as bonkers as if I had the migraine. So I can't do normal activities even on the medicine. So I don't know. Now, Ashton, this is going to be a tough sell. Okay, I get it. Treatment doctors are fine with gait, abnormal gait causing chronic diseases. But for whatever reason, and it's probably because they're not treating you, the VA examiners tend to not like that etiology, that cause of abnormal gait. For them, abnormal gait is equally plausible as you fell down the stairs, doing some stupid stuff. So it's not decisive enough for the examiners a lot of the time. I know I'm not explaining that well, but it can be challenging to get that. I mean, obviously take the swing. You make none of the shots you don't take, right? So take the swing, but if it doesn't come, if it doesn't work out in your favor, then you want to try something else, okay? No way. No way. Hold on. I want to see if you fooled me. Hold on. Hold on. I'm going to see. Did I get punked? I mean, I don't see anything in the news, so. All right. I mean, that'd be weird if it was true. All right. Denied OSA, no nexus or link established. Psychiatrist, major depressive disorder, sleep apnea from excessive weight gain. Neurologist, migraines lead to sedentary lifestyle. So, okay. I like more than that. I want to see musculoskeletal conditions, because the problem is for the examiners, migraines don't happen every single day for most people. If they do happen every single day for you, then that's the information that you'd want to lead with is, I have a migraine every single day, which prevents me from exercising every single day. But if you are a person that has a migraine once a month, then unfortunately the actual, like, the examiners will look at it and go, okay, well, unfortunately, 29 days out of the month, you can still exercise. So it's not a persuasive argument for them. So you need a little bit more than that sometimes to show, like, musculoskeletal conditions, asthma, respiratory conditions. They can help with that. Like, you can have a culmination of symptoms that cause you to not be able to exercise. Yeah, I think it's fake news, Flexman. ND Shadows, thank you for the donation. I appreciate it. The green logbook. What'd you miss? I mean, you missed a lot, dude. It was kind of like I've talked about a lot of stuff. Hell, and I think, you know what, actually, who the green logbook might be a good person to talk to about maybe, doing a GoFundMe for that veteran, like to get back their 25K that they, were, in my opinion, were taken advantage of, and to pay a claims company $25,000 for no result. I think maybe we could talk about like doing a fundraiser or something like that. I mean, I'd be down with that if we can verify all the information. I might do it. Like I might support a fundraiser because that hurts my soul that somebody's out $25,000, right? And my opinion is shame on the VA. And I know Flexman will point out to me every single time, you were part of that problem just up until recently. I mean, I was also part of the military, and the military can be problematic too. But, the problem is that veterans shouldn't get fleeced out of their money like that. I don't know. I'll keep going. I've never actually had a TBI examination, Mr. Ray, but there's a lot of like concentration exercises. There's a lot of like, it can take hours. So expect to be there for a few hours. Even though I have a TBI, I've never went through a CMP exam for one. I've went through the examination for one, but I never had a CMP. Mostly because I didn't need that to get where I got. I am thinking about a BDD claim, and I am working it myself because I have a crap VSO. What are some of the traps? Okay, some of the traps. Let me pull up the M21-1. So some of the traps are filing it within the correct period of time. And I'm going to look that up real quick. Let me just try to find here. Nope, that's the wrong manual reference. BDD initial processing. Okay, so if you go to M21-1 and you go to this section right here, and I'm going to do a couple things where I'm going to share a link. That's the manual reference that you want for the BDD requirements. And here's the link to it. To the M21 to find it. But yeah, you want to go in there and make sure you can check all those boxes, because it says service member must, and then it gives you a list of tasks. And if you don't do them, then you don't have a BDD claim, to be quite honest with you. I don't have one. I mean, they're one of the ones that I have to say allegedly every 2 seconds too. And if I have to say allegedly more than one time every 5 minutes, then I probably wouldn't go with them, right? If like another organization, like if somebody passed a law basically targeting you in a country that ends in California, then that company also, like, I wouldn't go with them either, right? Like, I don't know. Like, I kind of have a bias now because I'm starting the accredited thing. So I don't want to project bias onto other people, but I still don't like, I have to say allegedly every single time that I have to talk about this company on the screen here. So I don't like having to say allegedly. I'd like to work with somebody that I don't have to say allegedly did some heinous stuff that would be considered allegedly illegal, allegedly every day of the week. So, I mean, you can take that for whatever that is, but I'm skipping down, guys, so I'm going to skip some questions. Happy first live stream of spring. Yes. This is true. This is true. Very smart right here. Weight gain from diabetes can be caused by medications. Yes. Yeah, that's true. That is very, very true. There's a lot of different things. Now, this is why, guys, you need to pad your evidence as much as you can, is because examiners do this right here where they go, well, it could be this. or it could be that. You could have a lot of competing evidence, right? That says this is or is not. Diego, what's wrong? What's wrong, Diego? Did I miss your question? Diego, if I missed your question, I'll try to find it. Or you could post it again. Diego, give me the question. Diego, send me your question again, my friend, and I will answer it for you, bro. I'm here for you. I'm not trying to ice anybody out of the answer to their question, but I'm coming to the end of my my stream, so it's kind of too long. What do you mean it's too long? Oh my gosh, hold on. Yeah, just post it, Diego. I'm going to try to answer a few more of these questions here. Jennifer, thank you for the 5 gifted subs. NDS Shadow, thank you for the $2. I think I've answered a couple of these. Still in service, 150 days or so away from separation, just trying to avoid mistakes if possible. Follow that manual reference that I put in there, and follow that in that website that I put in there. That'll help you to actually know what's required in order for a BDD claim. Now, the way BDD claims work is if you claim it and you have the diagnosis, you get granted. That's how it works. So you've got to prove that you have the condition. Nassim. Hey, Raider, if you asked for a higher level review and you asked for an informal conference, but a decision was made without an informal conference, is there a way to fight the decision and have this be corrected? It's challenging because no, you can't fight the informal conference like that. If they made the decision without the informal conference, you can try to call the 1-800-827-1000 number and see if the VERA will give you an informal conference and say it was premature, you didn't get your informal conference. They might be able to work around and get, like if you had a VSO, you could have them contact the coach of the DRO and see about resolving that. That's my 2 cents on it. I spent hours in the emergency room last night. VA doctors are not helping me here in New York. Any suggestions? I mean, community care. I mean, to be quite honest with you, I would say go to community care, to be quite honest with you. It's probably better. It can be, at least. I mean, there's no guarantees either way. Earlier OSA, cervical spondylosis, right shoulder arthritis. VA doc says migraines with exertion. MDD causes overeating, getting an independent. Yeah. Oh, okay. There's 2 components to a weight gain. There's overeating, so abnormal caloric intake, and then there's sedentary, what prevents you from working off those calories. Both sides of that equation have to be addressed. Okay. Let me go down here to the bottom. I need to find this question from Diego. Okay, Diego. The RO stated service medical records show you were separated due to personality disorder. A personality disorder or adjustment disorder is a constitutional or developmental disability, abnormality. Okay. And not a disease or injury for disability rating purposes. So, Diego, that's both true and untrue. So, what personality disorder did you have? Because the definition of a personality disorder is very loose. So, I think the rater could have gotten it wrong. You can get, and I've showed this on videos about personality disorders and mental health, about how personality disorders can get rated and service connected as long as they manifested during service. If they manifested during service, then they can be granted. I might get some representation for your case and try to claim it, because it is possible if it didn't pre-exist service and it started in service, even personality disorders can be granted. So I hope that that answers your question, Diego. I'm sorry I did miss it. I apologize. I'm missing a lot of questions currently. Thank you, MCM. Yep. With fraud being the hot topic, should we avoid claims that we believe are possible and not diagnosed? I believe I have IBS, but it is not diagnosed. I don't think it has anything to do with fraud specifically. I think more importantly, the authenticity credibility changes for acute and transitory conditions require you, the veteran, to be more diligent about having a diagnosis and having that diagnosis be chronic in nature. So being over 6 months in duration before you file your claim. That way you don't get a rater who's like, I don't know. Or you get an examiner that's like, I don't know. That way nobody can disagree with it. It's established, it's chronic, and it's diagnosed. Element 1 is satisfied, okay? Let me see here. Well, guys, unfortunately, let me just double check that I've answered everybody's thing here. I do believe that I have. I'm going to call it a night, guys, just because I've been doing this for about 2 hours, and I do have to, like I said, I was helping my wife all day with work around the house, and I'm exhausted. We're going to be doing another live stream on Saturday, every Saturday. I recommend you guys come early if you want to ask questions. I typically answer them. And if you do come early and ask your question early, they do get answered in the order that they're asked. So later questions, unfortunately, I can't get to them, unfortunately. So please make sure that, and no worries, GC Jarhead, you're welcome, man. But make sure that you like and subscribe the video, share it with a friend, share my videos with a friend if you like them. I'll try to, if you guys have asked questions and you've gotten your questions answered, please let others have an opportunity, just because we want to make sure that everybody gets their questions answered. Other than that, guys, I'd like to thank you for taking the time tonight. That's about all I got for you. And I will not forget Mr. Ray. It is literally, I have a piece of paper right here. And I'm going to be doing it. I've got to do it on YouTube, though. So, all right, my friends, we will talk to you. Watch my video tomorrow and the next day. Anyway, that's all I got for you tonight. Raider out.